Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening, welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Fox, here on the show this evening. Is your Rob. Evening, Rob.
Evening, Ox. How you doing tonight, mate? Better than last night, I'd imagine.
That's a good question. No, my mood hasn't picked up, mate. My mood hasn't picked up. I think I'm quite sensible when it comes to football matches, mate. And my disappointment has turned to anger with the more I've looked at it, mate. And a lot of things, you know. Angry with my club, angry with the people who work for my club, angry with the management of our football team, angry with our players, mate.
Aye, I think we've used the word disappointed and frustrated far too often. It now has become anger, and real deep anger, because the issues that we've seen, particularly last night, are issues that we have seen and spoke about on this show for a number of months, years and seasons gone by, and we're no better off, mate. It's a real embarrassment for our club to come out of Europe this early in a season. 4 years ago, mate, we're in a Europa League final with the buzz, with a feel-good factor. How far we've regressed so quickly is frightening. It's an embarrassing state for your club to be in. And as much as we don't really care about Scottish football as a whole, you've got to say it's embarrassing for Scottish football as well. It really is.
People, they have to look at the league, they have to look at the format, they have to look at what we're doing, mate. But that's a side issue for us, mate. We've discussed it often enough on the show. I thought the team was appalling, as I said last night, mate. I gave two guys pass marks, mate. I don't think Pandora had nothing to do because it was an appalling game of football, mate. And I don't blame him for the goal. Yeah?
Yep, agreed.
And McCalla, that I thought done okay without being outstanding. I thought Stirling was poor. They weren't poor, they were just, they offered nothing. Fernandez, just the way he plays the game, just slows it all down, and all the spaces get closed because he'll no move it. He done nothing particularly wrong defensively. Still didn't have a good game, in my opinion. And maybe it's just because I fell out of love with the big game. Maybe that's the case. Penrice didn't have a good game. I'm not talking about a penalty kick, mate. That can happen to anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happens. And good luck to the boy. Chin up. At least they had the cojones to take someone. I'll forgive him. I'll not forgive the Welshman yet, but that's another story. Right, and in midfield, Dan Neil's turned into, you don't know this guy, but he's turned into David McCallum. Yeah, you remember him? What a player he was, mate.
Nah, don't know him, mate. That's an old one for me.
I'll leave that one with you, mate. Yeah?
Yep.
I'll leave that one with you, yeah. And the boy Dragovic, mate, in a two, the way we were trying to play, you can just see he can't play that role, mate. It's so obvious this. And so, Derek, come on. Yeah, and what you doing with Tucci playing where he was playing? If you're playing that shape, and I'm not his biggest fan, it's got to be Asgard. Start the game and you play like that. It was farcical. The two wide men, atrocious. So all in, 2 okay, 9 poor, mate. Yeah. Big Nardiri, mate. We've gave him a chance. We brought him in, had a go, mate. I'm not going to be stuck with him, mate. He's going to be a bit bad player. And he's going to be on more money than he's ever going to earn. And he'll be with us for a couple of years, picking up wages. Because he came in for a decent fee and nobody's going to take him to the level of wages we're paying him. So there's another, that'll start, in my opinion. So there we go, mate. And the subs, well, they're right there. The young right back, Costa, looks as if he can shift, mate. Looks as if he can shift, but we couldn't use him. Connor Barron come on and done what Connor Barron does. Plenty of endeavour. Zilch quality, mate. Zilch. Asgard, appalling, and arguably one of the biggest disappointments. And I think, I've got to be honest, I think his confidence is gone and the pressure put on him quite quickly. As young Lawrence, he's not young, but he's gone, mate. So there's my summation, mate. And That's the way I see it. Yeah, other people might see it differently, and it'd be interesting to see what you think, mate.
Well, there's not a lot there, mate, that I disagree with. I think that's been a fair assessment on the game. It was a very, very poor game. I thought they looked the better side without doubt in the second half. But the way we were playing, we made them look better than they actually were. You were kind of looking at the game, the way it was going, and you kind of just felt the goal was coming. They weren't threatening too much in terms of shots on target, Pandor having to make saves. But you just sensed the longer that game continued, we didn't look like scoring at all night, Ox. And they were kind of getting more belief the longer that game was going that they could snatch a goal to take it to extra time, which they did do. But individual performances, mate, really, really poor overall. I agree. My pass marks were McCanya. Curtis tried, right? He came
He
on
did.
and he tried. He tried to get a goal and give him a run. But how many positions did he play as well last night, Ox? About 3 or 4 different positions that he was asked to play last night with this change in formation, because we've got round pegs and square holes, or whatever the phrase you want to put now. You're trying to chop and change in game and you've not got the personnel to do it. But I thought he tried, and he was starting to show a bit of energy, which we didn't see from the majority of the squad when he came on. Penrice, I thought,
I'll
had a
throw
bit of
another
a...
one in. I'll throw another one quickly. You might as well have played him where you played Tucci, mate. Yeah, and let him just see what happens, mate, because he's that type of player. That decision was farcical, mate. And Derek, I despair, mate. I really despair. What have you been watching that makes you think that's a good idea? Carry on, mate.
Oh, you're right, mate. You're right with that point with Tochi, first of all, because we've seen against Jagiellonia over in Poland that he couldn't play in that position, and we've seen how cut open we were. I was surprised the way we set that up last night. The personnel, I didn't expect any changes, if I'm being honest, though, because I didn't expect the changes to kind of ring through. Maybe I'd have put Costa in for Sterling, just because we're playing midweek weekend against Aberdeen, and then Wednesday away at Falkirk, which Costa needs to play. So he needs minutes in his legs, really, to get going. But arguably that would have been the only change. A small case for Godfrey, but as you said in the last show, I was on with you, coming back from fitness, it's about putting him in at the right time. So it was a gamble if you did. In terms of individual performances, mate, as I was speaking about, I thought Penrice was okay in moments, but very quiet in other moments. I didn't see the energy and burst that he had in his previous games. And I think that was the bar that he set. And when he doesn't meet that, we'll look at him differently and think, nah, it's maybe not as good as we first thought, or that energy. But overall, whole team basis, mate, the team was very, very poor. And see, at the end of the day, you've got no arguments of going out of that competition, because over the 2 legs, we did not do enough to qualify. And that's the bottom line.
We were appalling, mate. We can't cut for the chase. We were appalling individually. We were appalling collectively. We were appallingly coached. We were appallingly managed over the 2 games. I'm not saying that Derek can't turn it around. People over their options, but I'm telling you what I've watched. And if you were watching that and Derek had been there a year as I pointed out last night, and this had been the start of the season, mate, it'd be gone. The clamour would just be too big, mate. And that's the problem we've got, mate. We're in this spiral. And we don't get a good start. We're never fit. We've got a million excuses. Everybody else has got the same issues, mate, apart from the top 5 leagues that start a month later, roughly. You know, but you've got to be organised, prepared, and everything. So we'll stick to the football for a wee while. There's been loads and loads of Rangers news. And we're not even talking about a £9 million transfer coming in the door, mate, which is just ridiculous, you know.
Oh, I know. It's always busy in the Rangers world, whether it's on field, off field, or something else. But a lot to get through the night, mate.
Okay, so listen, we'll get the phone lines opened. And I thought, by the way, I thought everybody that called in last night varied opinions, seen the game differently, different ideas for the future. I thought everybody was top notch, mate. Top notch, yeah.
Oh, here, mate. There's always going to be opinions there.
Apart from that, all there.
It's good to hear him back on. Hope he enjoyed his wee holiday there. Good to hear him back. And I like to say, all the callers come in, different opinions in some places, but they speak from the heart, and that's what this show's about. Come on, give your opinion. Where we go from here, what's next, and where do you think it's going to change, and how does it change? Because that's a big question.
It's just I never seen it coming. At the start of the season, look, we can get knocked out of Europe. Lose to teams. It's happened, mate. You've got, but it's not just. I don't think it's just getting knocked out or the losing games, mate. Or we've been appalling, mate. We were appalling against Hibs. We were appalling at Tannadice. We were appalling in the 4 European ties we've played, mate. Yeah, that's 6 games. St Mirren, we scored some good goals with a different shape. It was a decent game. St Mirren played open game and we scored goals. Take that out, mate, and it's absolutely abysmal. And that's the truth. Right, we better get these phone lines open, mate, because I'm sure people don't want to hear me whinging all night. Because I could, mate. I could, really. I'm so disappointed. No one having a bad result, mate. One bad result or you lose a game, it's the standard of the football, the lack of shape, the lack of organisation. If I was looking at that, mate, and I just want, before we open the phone lines, I want to ask you this. When I look at what's happening with that team, mate, if you just turned up and you didn't know how long the manager would be there and you watched that last night, you would say that manager's lost that dressing room. That's what you would say, mate.
You could also argue it looks like he's just walked in the door. It's his first week. He doesn't know his players, and the players don't know the manager.
I don't see that at all, mate. I just think they're not following instructions and there's no shape and they're getting frustrated and some of them are ignoring them and some of them are... that's what it looks like to me, mate.
There's certainly going to be a split opinion, mate, but good to hear the callers anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's hear from these.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
So where do we start, Rob?
There's not much fitbit to talk about from last night, really. From your side of it, if I'm being honest, mate. It's hard to really digest that, if I'm honest, because there was nothing real positive within the game. We had one shot on goal, on target, and that's not good enough. And you can put that down to no creativity, no desire, no hunger, but there was no belief in that squad last night. I said it earlier. Jablonic felt the belief. Their support felt the belief. I didn't see it from our players. They didn't believe that they could go, even just get an equaliser to see them through the tie. There was no belief. And that doesn't come from management, tactics. That's from within. That's the player. As much as the tactics and the formation changes is on the manager, of course it is. But the desire, the urgency, the drive to go and win a game or qualify, that comes from within the players. And last night they never showed it.
So if you're not getting desire and hunger and you don't go with the right application, who pays the price ultimately, mate? Always.
Well, it's always going to be the manager. It always is. That's the way football goes. But you look at it, mate, if you go back over, I know we're trying to stick to the football as much as possible at the minute and we'll move on throughout the night. But
You want to mention recruitment? Is that what you're going to?
well, it's the only aspect, Ox, that's not changed. We've changed managers. We've changed players. We've changed captain. We've changed our leadership group. The only thing it's not changed is recruitment. And it's always the players that are getting criticised, and some of them rightly so, for their performances. But they're only Rangers players because they've been brought in by a recruitment team. So if you've changed everything else, surely now you've got to look at your recruitment team. I think it should have been looked at before now. But on the back of this, you've really got to look at it because it's appalling, as you say. And if it continues, you're not going to move forward.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what the remit is or what they're doing and how much they're involved, mate. If they're supplying this group over the last 3 transfer windows, mate, their hit rate is pretty poor. And I think the actual managers with players' numbers have been supported reasonably well. Players we've actually done okay this year, maybe moving a few on that I didn't think we maybe could, Ant-Man, etc. Yeah. But the hit rate at this moment in time, so far in this window, doesn't look great. Yeah, but when you forwarded on a wee bit when Russell Martin was there, and then some players did kick on and done okay. But even the ones that were doing okay have became appalling, in my opinion, mate. Fernandes, I think, around about April, mate, fell off a cliff. Has helped us keep very little clean sheets. You know, a guy who I think he's got an attitude that spreads through the team, mate. I don't think it's good. I don't think he's a team player. And football's a team game. He might have skill, and he can do good things in every game. He'll do a nice turn and a shimmy go, or that was a nice bit of skill. But there's more to playing football than that, mate. And so I would agree with you, and I'll go this far. This might be emotion talking, because, you know, you do things in emotions when you're emotional and say things that you maybe don't mean, you know. Get my point, yeah? Right? And but I would say this, mate. I would let them finish the Monday. How could you let that group be involved in the planning and all the things that starts quite this week for the next Monday? How could you? So I've got to be honest. I would bing bang the lot of them tomorrow, or as soon as the Monday's finished, mate. Bing bang the lot of them, mate.
I don't disagree. I 100% don't disagree, Ox, because you just said there was players when Russell Martin was here that came in and they done okay, but okay isn't good enough at Rangers. You've got to be better than okay, because the reason that you're okay or you turn up here and there is the reason that we've went so long without success. 2 trophies, cups, that's all we've won since Gerrard won 55. That's all we've won. So recruitment from then has been more misses than hits. But some players turn up and it's okay. No, it's not good enough. Simple as that. So they need to go. And if you look at the players that are signed, now I've got my own opinion on this, and Collins can come in and give me their take on it, and they'll probably disagree, and some might agree.
Give me your opinion, mate. You know
I honestly do not believe.
Down, but carry on.
I honestly believe that out of all these signings we have made, only 2 have been Derek McInnes signings. When you look at the way the players speak when they come in the door, and they're always asked, when did you first hear about Rangers contacting you? It was all pre-McInnes. Some are far back. Min Soo, who we'll hopefully discuss tonight, the South Korean guy, we were in talks with his camp over a year ago. Costa, we've been in talks since April. Penrice was meant to happen in January, but didn't go through. McCrory had talks since January. It's all pre-McInnes. That tells me that this recruitment team are working on the same shortlist that they've done under Danny Rule. And when McInnes has come in, they've stuck to that. They've got the players that they've identified, and they're giving them to McInnes. Again, that's just my opinion, because I don't believe for a minute these guys are being picked.
Are you telling me you don't think that Derek's an expert in Japanese and South Korean football, mate? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I am. Because if you look at his previous clubs, mate, Aberdeen, Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, predominantly, I know they're smaller clubs than what we are, I'll get that, and there's financial budgets, but all his work has been done from Scottish clubs, English Championship or lower. Very little players has he signed out with the UK in his whole managerial career. I had a look at it earlier on, mate, believe it or not, it's less than 20 out with the UK he's signed his entire managerial career. The rest are all from UK, Scotland or England. So, I don't know, something doesn't smell right with this. And I know McInnes said in day one, he gets the final say.
You might still get the final say, mate, but if you need a right back and you go offered 3 and the 3 options and you've got to take one of them because you need it, mate, you might get the final say, but it still might not be anybody you want.
Might well be. We never know how transfer works, but from the outside looking in, mate, I don't think these players have been ones that have been.
I'm not saying they're his pick, Rob. What I'm saying, he gets a final say, but sometimes it'll be Hobson's choice. Yeah.
I understand that part of it, but for me, mate, I just think I don't want to really put the he's not got the full control as he should, because that's maybe the wrong phrase to use. But it looks like we're using a whiteboard, one of your famous whiteboards, with a list of names that they done planning in December, January, if not before then, for this season, and just told Derek, we've spoke to him, he's coming. Are you okay? Because it's been quite late in the day for Derek to try and get in, see what he's got and assess it, and they wanted to get going. And it's maybe coming back to bite him, if that is the case. Because we're in the position we're in now.
Aye. So it'll be interesting to see anybody. I don't disagree with you. I mean, I don't think that in most football clubs now the managers pick the players as such. You know, they get players put in front of them as options. They don't go out and say, right, we have to look at that right back for Stenhouse. He's shown we can get him and we'll bring him in. I think the days have gone, mate. You know, when it's all analytics and they look at things, and then they'll start looking at what age, how long their contract's gone, what your budget is, what you think these wages will be, and then you'll maybe end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then there's 2 of them maybe saying no, the agents will say no, he wants to stay here because it's, you know, you're culturally it might not suit everybody. And then you've got maybe left with 3, and the manager might not pick any of them or select any of them or know anything about any of them. Then he'll have the final say. But what does that mean when you're not selecting them, mate?
Well, I mean, when you put it like that, that's a big question again.
That's how it works, mate. Don't be fooled.
Oh, I'm not fooled. I'm just saying how I see it, mate. I just think that just something doesn't look right. I'll be honest, something just doesn't sit right with me.
Do you maybe just think the guys that are doing the job are at their depth and don't understand what we're trying to achieve and what the pressures are?
But I've already said that. I've already said that in the show, mate. And I've highlighted the fact that they're young guys, and I'm not saying that age is a matter of fact that you can do the job or not. But you look at where they've been. These guys in recruitment. Robbie Felwell, 27.
He shouldn't be at Ibrox, mate. He's not got the experience. He's not got the reputation. He's not got the knowledge. Yeah, he shouldn't be at Ibrox.
He's 27 and he's head of recruitment at 27. And all he's done previously was a scout at Everton, got the job through his dad, funnily enough, and an analyst. That's it. He's in charge. He's head of recruitment at Ibrox for Rangers. It's unbelievable, mate.
He shouldn't be after this week, mate. He shouldn't be after this week.
Just when you said there, Rox, as well, just before we move on, mate, you said there about selecting players.
Right.
Nico Raskin was obviously left back in Glasgow, right? After the match, McInnes said that there was no bid. Who made that decision to leave him at home if there's no bid on the table? Was that a McInnes decision, or do you think it's been elsewhere? Just to put it out
there. There's 2 things, mate. There is the business decisions and the football decisions, mate, and sometimes they collide. You know, in hindsight, you'd have played Nico Raskin last night, but what happens if you get a Chermiti, mate?
Aye, I get that. And I said at the time I wouldn't have played Chermiti because the bid was there. If there was no bid for Raskin, we've heard there's been bids for Gassama. We've heard there's been talks about Fernandez. Both of them played.
Aye, but maybe they're not as profitable as maybe Nico's is, mate. Listen, mate, just my opinion, the 2 you mentioned, I'd drive them to the airport. I would drive them to the airport, the 2 of them.
Aye, I don't disagree. Anyway, my rant's over, mate. Sorry, carry on.
You feel better now?
I'm getting there. I've still got an hour and a half to go to get it off my chest, but doing well.
Anything else you want to get off your chest? Well, it's just me and you.
Not at a minute, mate. I'm alright now. We'll see what the callers come in and say.
Are you sure there's nothing else you want to mention? This is the time.
No, I think that's it, mate. I think that's it.
Last right. Listen, it's simple for me. I'd bin bag them all this week, mate. This week. Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing personal. Nothing. Don't know them as people. Don't want to get in personal, but I would, mate. It's no work. The transfer windows, mate. It's no work. You know. But We'll see where it takes us, mate. We've got ourselves in a spiral, a pickle, whatever you want to call it, and I don't see anywhere out of it. And by the way, James Tavernier doesn't look such a bad player now, does he?
Oh no, don't mention it. No, he's not coming back. We're not taking him back, Ox.
I'm not saying we shouldn't take him back, mate, but that ship sailed, mate. He doesn't look such a bad player now, mate. Yeah.
Well, would have made a difference in that team last night.
Well, he was
I don't
always
think
likely
so.
to score a goal and make something happen, wouldn't he? He might have gave away a goal, but he could still make something happen.
I don't know. The time is up and time is
Well,
going.
so,
So
mate, listen, mate, I
Exactly.
don't need to have too long, but yeah.
aye,
you know.
100%. 100%, mate. But no, I don't think they made a difference. I don't think even Raskin made a difference last night. Maybe the midfield would have been visible in places last night because we couldn't contain the ball. We couldn't keep possession. We were gaining it away cheaply. The midfield was non-existent last night for large parts of that game.
Some of
And
that was down to the manager, mate. They ended up 3-2 in there, and they're none of them have played at that level as such in Europe, mate, and then the boy Neil, mate. Have you found out who David McCallum was?
I'll do it after the show, mate, and I'll let you know the next
It's
time we're on.
it's in the chat, mate. Fox gave you the answer. The second.
I didn't see that. See what I done there?
No.
Oh,
You leave the jokes to me, mate. You're not very good at them.
I try.
Don't. Right, so that's what. Have you ever known? Here's a question for you, mate. Here's one for you, right?
Mhm.
Now, once you out of detention, right, and you've got a bit of time in your on, right?
Mhm.
Have a look. Have you ever known a guy to get subbed at half time? Ever? In their whole careers, as often as that guy Neil has done in a few weeks at our club? It's baffling.
Not that I can recall off the top of my head, mate. No.
Because unless somebody was injured, unless you were having a nightmare, it was unusual for anybody to come off at half time. What's that? 3 times? He's only played one half of football. The first half, is it? Is that Poland? Is it? I wonder if it is 3 times, or is it? I might be wrong, but it seems a lot, mate. But we gave him a wee bit of praise for his performance last Thursday, mate.
Mhm.
Went for 25 minutes, and he made a lovely pass for that goal, that chip to Yokota, who he did it in for when we got the goal, yeah?
Yep, agreed. Good bit of play.
Yeah.
Good
And he
pick.
played well. But the rest of the other games, mate, he's been atrocious and invisible, mate. And there's no dig, and he's no pace. We've signed somebody else to play in the spine of our team who can't cover the grass. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I said it last night, mate, and I'm not being, this sounds really sarcastic. We're getting them all colourblind tested, mate, because we can't pass the ball to the same colour shot. I am. It's shocking.
No, that was a real observation you could clearly see last night was the slack passing. Even the simple ones that were balls to feet that you would pick out 10 out of 10 times, maybe 9 out of 10. But the simple passes were going astray. People are making whether it's the wrong run or the wrong pass, so many turnovers of possession so cheaply. And as a McInnes team, you don't really see that often, Ox. You've got to see it. You've seen Hearts last season. They knocked it about nicely. They were comfortable on the ball, off the ball. They were strong defensively. We have looked nothing like that at all. But the possession, we thought at the start of last season we were bad, being a possession team or trying to be, moving the ball forward. But you can't move it if you've not got the pace, and you can't move it if you've not got the passing distribution. So where do you go? You go long and you put it up to Nadiri, who was very poor last night. You put it up to Shankland, he can't move, it bounces off him, there's nobody about him, you lose possession. It's just coming back to you.
Yes. Anyway, we're joined by our Billy. Evening, Billy.
Evening, gentlemen. Evening.
All right, Billy.
Aye, no bad, Rob. I just heard you talking there about the recruitment and that, Ox. I'm going to give my tuppence worth on it, right? I was just sitting, jotting a few things down, groups, right? I'm going to go back to the Dundee United game to start with, right? Who at the start, this is actually uncanny, by the way, right? Who at the starting 11, there were 7 previous players to a previous manager, right? We played the European game, Jagiellonica, 7 again for the previous set of players. We played Hibs, there were 5 for the previous regime. We played Jagiellonia again, there were 6. We played St Mirren, there were 6 again. Last week, there was 5. And last night, there was 5. Right? Now, work that out for yourselves. Now, bear in mind there, Derek McInnes is saying a goalkeeper, and his goalkeeper's played all the games. So that's roughly 4 of his own players, for talking's sake, right? Now,
What are you meaning for the previous regime? Are you meaning...
all the managers, listen, I'm going to get to that, mate. I'm going to get to that, buddy, right? The previous people who have been signing...
What are you meaning with the previous?
The previous regime or regime that's still there, either or, and that goes way back as far as Gio, right? Who is actually signing these players for Rangers since Gio to the new?
Oh, there's
Glasgow Rangers.
Loads of different people, mate. Loads of different people.
Right. Exactly. Now, this is my point, Ox, right? That system that's in place at Rangers since Gio to Derek McInnes just now, right, is clearly not working, right? Because if it was working, we wouldn't be going through 150 odd players. I think it is at Albert touched on. We've had 6 managers in that time and 1 caretaker manager. So that system that's in place at Rangers is clearly broken and it's not working, right? This manager, Derek McInnes, needs to identify his own footballers and bring them to the club, right? By whatever scouting policy he wants to put in place or whatever the case may be. Because going by that history that I've just read out there, that system that Rangers have got in place now, or whoever's recruiting these football players and managers, and these managers must be taking that on board before they sign for Rangers, that this is what we'll tell you today, and you've got to work with the managers. Now, if we want success at Glasgow Rangers, we've got to go back to the way we built our success. And by that, it's a manager and his team, a background team or whatever, identifying players. You get your scouts out there, your Rangers scouts out there, and they go back to the manager, and then the manager goes, has a look at them. Because this is no working, mate. And it is unsustainable, or it's not sustainable, should I say, both financially for Rangers and domestically and European-wise. All right, well, you could maybe argue the point. We got to the Europa League final. We've won a couple of Scottish Cups. You could, but that's not even. That's just paper near the part there. Paper near the cracks.
Your eyes don't lie, but I'm going to take umbrage and make your stats worse, mate. If you look at that team last night, Sterling's the longest serving player by a distance on that pitch for us, mate. All of them, bar Sterling, have come in since last summer, Rob. Yeah? They've all come in with this recruitment. The Geo players and all that, I mean, they've all gone, mate. And then Connor Barron comes on the park. He came in under Clement, mate. But Sterling's the longest serving player in that group, mate. The 10 of the players last night have come in since last summer. Yeah, they have. Aye. So it's the previous regime, if you want to take it prior to the takeover, if you like, with the new ownership, mate, there's only 1 player started that game prior to the new ownership, mate. We've not been doing a director of football. We've chopped and changed with that being a good idea or a wrong idea. We gave Michael Beale a free rein to bring in players, and then we get saddled with big wages with very little coming out, and we were lucky we got rid of a few of them. We're still paying Danilo, mate. Let's be honest, we'll still be paying tens of thousands towards Danilo every week. You know, so you've got all that eating up your club, mate. So it's been bad. It's been atrocious with this regime, with the recruitment. The Americans, if you like, you're not going to have scot-free, mate. I've trusted people are doing their job, but they're not doing their job. So bin bag them and get rid of them. The last 3 transfer windows, Billy, have been appalling. Appalling, mate. You don't see anything, do you?
No, of course, that's exactly what I'm saying, Ox. So the system in place, mate, right? The system in place for whatever criteria is for football, for bringing players in, for looking at this one, and I mean, the Rangers owners, right? See these new owners, right? I want these new owners, or listen, I would love to hear them come out and make a statement or at an AGM and say, right, this is who's signing the players, or the manager's signing the players. This needs to get put to bed, Ox, Rob, because see the way it's going on. It's only going to snowball and snowball and snowball and snowball, right? And you're going to have fans out there, supporters all over the world arguing about, McInnes needs to get sacked, or he's no good enough, that's no good enough. It's on the fringe. It's the system, the foundations of what the programme is at Ibrox is not working. That's the bottom line here.
Well, with that many building blocks, we've changed and chopped. In 1 minute, we need a director of football. The next minute, we don't. Somebody who's in charge of the whole regime. And then we take the building blocks and we change it and we go and do one system. We've been inconsistent in our strategy, mate. And there's it looks as if we're always reacting rather than planning. And now we're at catch up and it's dramatic. Rob?
Aye, Billy, you're right, mate. There is massive issues there, and it's something that you, other callers, myself, and other people on the show have spoke about, mate. And it is a massive issue. I said it just before you come on, Billy. Things have changed at our football club. The only thing it's not changed in the past year and a half has been the recruitment team. And as we look at the most recent, the 3 windows, we've seen how poor it is, because we're saying that players turn up here and there, but that's not good enough. We've got players in last summer that are away this summer. That's not good enough. There's no stability there with players. The turnover is remarkable, mate. Remarkable. And it's not been for the better at times. And that's the worry. I get sometimes in transfers, it's hard to bring a player in of similar or equal quality. But we're way off it, mate. Way off it with what we're producing and what we're bringing in. And unfortunately, it's these guys in this position that Andrew Kavanagh trusts with his money, because as Ox is saying there, they're not getting away with it, but they've put in heavily into his club. His only flaw is trusting the wrong people with his dough to allow them to spend it and getting nothing in return, i.e. a successful Rangers team on that pitch. So that's when he needs to look at it and go, once again, we made a mistake. We done it with Martin. Should have been done sooner. Made a mistake. We're going to get somebody else in. They've done it. They've got to go and do it now with the recruitment team. But the recruitment team's been an issue for millions of years, mate. I say million of years, but it's a bit far-fetched. A good few seasons, Billy. Let's put it that way. And Ox, you're right. John Sterling is the longest player that was on that pitch last night. The only player that's been at Rangers longer, currently on the books, since season 21-22, is John Souttar. And we know what's happened there. Then it's Nico Raskin. So there's 2, maybe 3 players that have been there for just 4 years or thereabouts. The rest have all been in and gone, or some have just come in. That's not good enough. There's no foundations, there's no stability, there's no continuity to progress and build. We keep rebuilding. Well, when do we build and build on strength? Because all we're doing is building, knocking it down, and starting over again.
Well, no foundations. You know, and if you're talking about a football team, Billy, These people know you've got to go up the middle of the park. If you were starting from scratch and looking for a goalkeeper, centre halves, maybe a midfield player, then you start building around about it. You might go up tap as well and get right down the middle of the park. Yeah, traditionally you'd want strong players in there usually. When I look at that midfield last night, mate, you've got the strong guy playing in a number 10 role. I was baffled with the decision to do that, mate. Baffled.
Ox, I know, mate. See what you just touched on there, right? I listened to Graham Souness talking about things in that, and Souness was bang on. You need to put fit by men into fit by positions. See all this, see when it's going on with these three clowns in at Ibrox, or the two clowns, that's never going to work, right? It's never going to work, mate, right? You need to get fit by men in football positions in the football club. And if they're Rangers men, all the better, right? And knock this nonsense in the head. And see if the owners are clever enough, right? It's as easy as the blue nose in the end of their faces, man. All you have to do is look at the foundations and the success and how we built the club when we were winning, right? Ultimately, you can't win all the games, but I'm talking about consecutive winning, trophies, etc. Look at the platform and foundations that was there then, and then look at it now and see what's broken. And if it's broken, you change it to what it used to be when it was successful. It's no rocket science. But this is clearly went on, as I said, for a number of years now, since Gio, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So the owners will need to address it, Ox, big time.
It's no consistent. It's no consistent personnel.
It's consistent rank rotten, mate. That's what it is.
Aye, but it's no consistent personnel, and if there was somebody there that you could pin, say, look, that's it, mate. Look, I don't want to get personal with the boy Thurber. I don't know him. He's a young guy, and obviously it doesn't pass the sniff test. The whole thing that doesn't pass the sniff test, and he'll be getting a decent salary, right? And his job might be that he collects players and he gets it together in its own spreadsheets and he presents it, and there's all the that's the Billy, that's this boy Billy. We're looking at him. There's all his clips. That's his stats. That might all be what he does, and he might be really good at it. That bit of it. Yeah, he's only doing what he's told, so he might be great at his job. We're putting a lot of twos and twos together, but none of it passes the sniff test, Rob, and I'd bag a lot of them. The Stig, whatever he is, Purdy, who used to be in the Avengers, and Daddy's boy. Yeah, I would.
It's a collective, Ox. It's not as an individual, it's a recruitment team. So they're a collective. Doesn't matter if one guy's good at doing a presentation, they're a unit. That's the way we are meant to be on the pitch, in the dugout, and in the boardroom. So if one guy does one thing well and one guy's doing another thing wrong, then it's a collective team, in my opinion. They've all got to go. But the experience isn't there. It's evident it's not there. The pressure is too big for them. The demand is far too big for them, and they're not cut out for it. Simple as that. We can see it from the outside looking in as supporters because we have been hurt by it so many times, and we're going to shout it from the heavens when we don't see it going well, and we've been doing it far too often. But up to now, it's fell on deaf ears because we're still having the same conversations every summer. Rebuild, every summer, rebuild. In between, we'll sack a manager. That does nothing because then the next manager that comes in is inheriting a group of players that he's got to work with. If it's mid-season or during a season, there's no window for a couple of weeks and months. He's got to work with what he's left with. Derek came in this summer, and I said it earlier. I think a lot of these players were finalising deals before he was even in the door. So he's not got his chance to really put his stamp on it. So that's the problem. Billy's there talking about personnel. Billy, go back to Nils Coppin when he was here with Clermont. He told us not to shop down in England because it's not a feasible or viable market for Rangers to shop in. Told us to go to Eredivisie, South America, North Africa. We're doing what he told us to do now. with the wrong people in charge. But he get told where to go. The support didn't like him at the time either. Clement was obviously put out the door on the back of that Queen's Park result, who I thought was deserved to stay. In my opinion, I'd have kept him. And maybe that's the mistake we made back then, was not
I
was
like
knocking
Big
Clement.
Clement, mate, but the Queen's Park result was up there with that one, mate. Yeah,
Well,
it was
the Derek
unforgivable.
McKin-
And if
was
Derek
that result?
McInnes had been here, as I said last night, and I said it again tonight, if Derek McInnes had done a year in this form would have happened at the start of the season, mate, he'd be getting strung up, mate. People, this is not unacceptable. It's not that we're losing games of football. We don't see any shape. We don't see any football. We don't see players with any pace or passion. And we're seeing very, very little skill. Apart from that, it's all right, Billy.
Aye, but these failing players, mate. The previous, I touched on it earlier on about the sixes and the five and the sevens out of starting 11, mate. I mean, Pep Guardiola could tell them what to do. If they're not got to do it, they're not got to do it.
Aye,
They're the way of the highway ox, and it's got to stop. I actually feel sorry for Derek McInnes. I really do.
I don't.
And I know I do, mate. I do. I actually feel
Tell me why you feel sorry for him.
because he's going to end up like the previous managers and the players, and the system is going to break him and all.
Right, I'll tell you how I don't feel sorry for him, mate, right? And I'll base it on football, because I think Derek McInnes is a smashing bloke, right? Yeah, right? Right, the reason I don't feel sorry for him is when he's played in the dairy outside right up in Tannadice and help us throw 2 points away. Yeah. The way we played against Hibs at Ibrox in the opening league game of the campaign, so pedestrian and so flat. We played a mediocre Polish team away from him, mate, and his shape was shocking when he played. Everybody and his granny who's watched Asgard for 2 years knows, well, a year and a bit now, knows he can't play any wide positions, mate. Yeah. The decision making he's making last night, you caught him, mate, trying to make it into a four and drop him deep, mate. That guy can only play one place. When you're on the front foot and you get it at the edge of the box and he makes things happen, that's all he's got. He's not got a defensive bone in his body. He's not that type of player. Derek McInnes is making mistakes after mistakes after mistakes so far. Whether that's pressure, he's doing that. He's putting the players out, selecting the wrong players. And that's how I don't feel sorry for him. No, I want him to turn it around and get it right. And I'll say, well done, Derek. You got that right. You got his 3 points. You get it. Every game, mate, he's got something wrong. Every game. And that's all the criticism before the game start. It's no in hindsight, mate. And this changing shape every 20 minutes, mate, it's absolutely embarrassing. When you have to do that as often as that and react when other teams only do nothing, mate, you're admitting you've got it wrong. So if you're not getting it right that often, mate, it's wrong, and that's how I don't feel sorry for him. Rob?
Well, I see both of your points there. To a
No,
degree,
get off the fence. Get off the fence.
no, I see both your points. I do, to an extent, feel sorry for him as well, Billy,
Oh, get
because I
off.
feel he's been thrown under the bus a bit. That's my own opinion on that one, mate. But I see where you're coming through as well, Ox, because when it comes down to tactics in game, that's a manager's decision, and that's what he's paid to do. Managers change shapes in game, but doing it 4 or 5 times in one game shows you're really struggling. Now, it's a European game. Did them to look at Derek McInnes' European record before coming to us? Because a lot of our support asked for a manager who was experienced. Aye, in Scotland he is. A winner, is he? Not really. A championship, a Scottish Cup with Aberdeen, championship with Kilmarnock, the first division as it was with St Johnstone. Never won the top flight. Should have won it last season. That's in hindsight. But he never. So European wise though, after last night, he's had 41 games in Europe, won 15 out of the 41. And the furthest he's went isn't any further than a qualifier. So he's got no European experience, and that's a Conference League game last night. That's the third level of European football. and we couldn't negotiate that. So that comes back to the manager. So I take your point as well, Ox, but there's a lot of stuff that you can say
Oh, I've got
he's
sympathy
been
with
handed.
some of the players he's got. I've got sympathy with maybe he's trying to sort out a dressing room. I get all that. I understand all that. I'm talking about the actual decision-making, selections, and how he's setting us up. That's when my sympathy ends, and that's why I don't feel sorry for him. And he doesn't get a free pass. Well, if he gets it right on Sunday and we win the game and we play well, I'll be the first man to say that was a good performance and we get it right. I'm only critiquing what I'm watching, Billy, and I'm only critiquing the setup, mate.
Ox, I get that. I know, mate. I know what you're saying, right? But we're all, listen, we've got an idea what we're talking about, how to set teams up and all that. I get that, right? But remember as well, right? This is the same manager that, obviously, listen, he went to, obviously, doing the leagues in Aberdeen, Kilmarnock and all that, right? This is the same manager that took Hearts to within a whisker of winning that league title last year. So he must know how to set up a team somewhere.
I agree,
Right? If he's done that, mate. But under the circumstances and all, who else is he going to play? You know, when we're looking at previous players, etc., etc. So who else is he going to play in these games? That's for the Dundee United game. You know, will people's opinions change in a manager? If it is his players that's came in the summer and he gets them all in the park at the same time, because he's signed about 11 or 12 players. You know, but regarding changing shape, no, I know that some people
don't mind
look at Gio for talking sake, right? He was stubborn with his 4-2-3-1 in Scotland, and ultimately it cost him, but it worked in Europe. Whereas you've got Derek McInnes, a completely different manager. He's changing things on the spot. You know, is he changing it because he's searching for a system that's actually going to work with what he's actually got? You know, I think we need to, if he's signed these players himself, and that's a big if because we don't know.
Managers
Well,
don't do
if
that
he's
anymore.
not signed them, Ox, that's what back to my original point, mate. If he's not signed these players, if he's not identified these players, and they're not his signings, right, then the system is clearly broken.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen in so-called modern football. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm not saying you're right, but they've created an industry that's just overly complicated, mate. You can either play, you can't. If you can't run, you can't run. Yeah, and we're scouting players, and I don't know where it comes from, and you'll fall and rise on your recruitment. I'll go back to my point. Derek will have input, maybe say, right, okay, go for him first, see if we can get him. And if we can't get him, you go for X, Y, and Z. So ultimately, he picks the players, and some, but it's what he's presented with. It's like saying you eat your dinner of beans and toast every night, and that's all you get given. Yeah, you might not pick it, but you get given it. You know what I mean? That's the modern football. It's at this moment in time, mate. It ain't going to change. The way the game's developed and became worldwide, you couldn't have people doing what they used to do and go and watch players up and down the country. You don't have to anymore, because every game's pretty much on the telly, and you can sit and watch them. They can sit and watch them 24/7 in an office. The days of people driving all over the country watching individuals are gone. In fact, there'll be people doing millions and millions of pounds worth of deals, and some of the clubs might not have seen some of these players play in the flesh, and they'll sign them. It doesn't add up to us, but the game's changed. Derek's got himself in a puzzle. It's not all his issues, and he's not the biggest issue we've got at the club, in my opinion. I've mentioned what I think should happen, but I'm only telling you what we've done in these games, and he's got a lot wrong before a ball's were kicked, and the person, not maybe so much the personnel he's picking. If you'd have played Nardiri and Chermiti up front as a 2 and went with a 4, mate, it might have been different, you know. But he's got a lot wrong, mate, in a short space of time. own the games, that he's got to get criticism. He's not getting away scot-free because we like him. Rob?
No, he's not. And as a manager, he's the one that carries the can. And when you look at the team's performance, you always look at how they play, how they move. That all comes from coaching at the training ground. It was a question put to Russell Martin last year. Do we look coached? You could ask the same question this season. Do we
No.
look coached at this point in time?
We're worse than we were this time last year under Russell Martin, mate. We're
Yep.
worse. Anybody think we're worse?
And look at the reaction Russell Martin got. But you're not seeing it because McInnes is a Rangers man. Now, I heard Port Bear saying last night it's a myth, and I tend to agree. It does help if you're Rangers minded, but it's not a guarantee. I seen a thing today, it was sent off, you've probably seen it as well. The team that made Seville, 2 Rangers men in the starting 11, 2. But 7 of the players were British players, Billy. So you don't need to go foreign, you don't need to get all the Rangers men in a starting 11. We got to a European final on the back of that. So that could counter that argument by saying, well, we don't need Rangers men to achieve well in Europe. Did we overachieve? Probably. Let's be honest, probably. They had no right to be there, but the performances we put in deserve to be there.
We deserved it, mate. We deserved it.
With the performances, we deserved it. But if you say Rangers in a European final in this modern day, nobody would believe you because of the finances, the way the big clubs play, the way the European structure set up now that if you get knocked out a qualifier, you can drop down to the next one and so on and so forth. So there's big teams across all 3 competitions now in Europe. Finances are involved in all 3 of them. So on performances, we deserved it. Of course we did. But you didn't have these foreigners, you didn't have Rangers men. You had 2 and you had 7 British players. And it wasn't a big spend on that squad either, as we know. Sometimes it's not about spending the money. It's about the quality you bring in, the mindset, the attitude of players, the hunger. You don't see the hunger till you're on the pitch. But how players approach the game and how they approach their career at Rangers will dictate how they are as a Rangers player for their future and their career.
I think as well, Ox, see under the current circumstances, mate, all we're doing is starting fires all over the place, mate. That's all we're doing. We're starting fires all over the place. And it's up to the owners to put the fires out and let the manager try and put the foundations up to build the house back up again, mate. Because we can't keep doing this, buddy. We can't keep doing it, mate, because it's driving everybody nuts, mate, you know?
It's rinse and repeat, mate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people are meant to enjoy going to watch their team, mate. There's not been any enjoyment in any. The St. game, the St. game at Ibrox. It was a decent game. St. were opened. And let's be honest, they missed a penalty, missed a sitter. We could have scored more goals as well. So, it might have been interesting if it went 4-2. We were whether we'd have lost our way if they'd have scored the penalty, I don't know. But we won 5-1, so you get a pass for that. We played well. A couple of cracking goals, but apart from that, mate, it's been appalling, mate. We don't look as fit. We don't look shape. Look at yesterday. I don't want to ever go at the young boy Penrice, mate. We're free kicks. How many did we get past the first man? The corner kicks, mate. Nothing.
I know.
Nothing, mate.
I know.
Nothing.
I get that. I know.
With this time, Derek's brought in this, who I would imagine he wanted. The set piece guy went, and we brought this new guy in, and you're meant to set up the free kicks. Yeah, right. Okay, so you're going to put it in for a certain area with a left-footed player. So one side it's an out swinger, the other side it's an in swinger. Do we need a coach to set you up to do that?
Aye, I know, mate. I know what you're saying. I get it. I get it, Ox. You're talking about Penrice near and all. Listen, I'm not just going to single him out for this. I'm not going to just single this player out for one game or one incident. I'm going to single him out for his tenure at Ibrox, right? And that guy is Gassama. He would never kick another Rangers ball for me, because I'm going to tell you something right now, right? That laddie will be on a good wage. And he's meant to be a professional footballer. A professional footballer. See that chance he missed with 6 years out last week was inexcusable for a professional footballer. If he puts that in the back of the net, that team's right on the back foot. Now, that maybe be hypothetical and say, well, they maybe have scored later on or whatever the case may be. He puts that on the back of the net. Rangers are two goals up now. But
you might get your way. Right, thanks for that, Billy. We've been joined by Smurf. Even
all right,
Smurf,
man,
how we doing, mate?
Aye, no bad, Ox.
Welcome back to you, Billy. Carry on, Smurf.
I was just, listening, and obviously, Derek McInnes, he's made mistakes. He's.
Derek, I think Derek would admit that.
Of course, and who's never going to make mistakes?
Oh,
right.
I don't know if you breaking up there, Smurf. You breaking up? Carry on, mate.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Keep going. If you need to keep
All
talking
right.
before we.
All right.
No, we need to go, mate. We'll need to drop you. We'll go back to Billy. Billy, on you go, mate.
Aye, cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.
Okay.
Aye. Is he away? Is he back in again? Aye, the more I look at that, Ox, right? That's it. A professional football player can't get his knee over the top of the ball here, mate. His knee over the top of the ball. Right, he could have headed it, he could have went down and had a sided diving header, he could have brought it down. The keeper had made his own mind up. And seeing the more I look at that, Ox, the more I look at that goal, I cringe. Honestly, mate, and going by his antics, he threw the toys out the pram, etc., the last time, under previous managers, and, this, that, and the next thing. He would never kick another ball for me.
You might be right, mate. Watch this space. You might be right. Right, get yourself a mute, because we're going to have a tune.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Right, thanks for that, folks. Right, okay. Look, I think we know there's issues with the recruitment. We know there's issues with the players. Hopefully, Derek gets some time to turn it around, and he does turn it around. And he gets results. It buys you better time, and the thing snowballs the other way, and we start getting positive groans. But we have to win football matches. This is no acceptable. And if we don't get a result on Sunday, the pressure just mounts and mounts and mounts. And we don't know these players well enough to know how they'll handle it, mate. If we're honest, because we don't. Who do we know in that group, mate? Who do we know? We don't know the goalie. We really don't know the centre halves that well. The fullbacks are new. That if they're all going to be playing, the midfield's new. Yeah, and they're young. It's a young group. When you take out Shanklin, mate, the guys that were on that part last night, they're young, Rob. So we don't know how they're going to handle it. They got the cojones to do it for a start. And there you go. What does that come down to? It comes back down to where's the planning, where's the strategy? And if you look at most teams who are successful, usually their average is what, 26, 28? You know, we're young, mate. We're a lot of inexperienced players. Even Godfrey, you brought in, he's hardly played any football for a couple of years. You know, and you're maybe taking a punt, and maybe that's where we are, and we've got to accept it. But I don't know if we're going to be able to. Someone will stand up to it physically, will some of them will stand up to it mentally. And you'll come back to that same era, mate. Recruitment. Rob?
It's always going to boil down to that, mate. But when you're talking about the Fitbit terms, going to Pittodrie, as we know, is always a tough game. They make it hard. It always has been. And that's not going to change come Sunday. And it's not going to be any easier with the way we've started this season and on the back of last night as well. So we've made it hard and difficult for ourselves yet again. But you're right to ask the question, will these players that we don't know about be able to stand up to that kind of atmosphere, the pitch, the conditions? We know what it can be like up there. You're not going to know. And this is the problem when you're buying so many players every summer as well. You're adding in 8, 9, 10, 11 players, hoping that they gel together quickly and they can go out and deliver at these games, your Pittodries, your Tannadices, etc. So you're not going to know until you see them. But again, it comes down to that recruitment. Now, the ones you do know, Fernandez, we spoke about him at great length in this show. We know what he can do and what he can't do, and we can keep repeating ourselves. Penrice has got the experience of playing at Pittodrie. Maybe not at Rangers, of course, but previous clubs, aye. Asgard, Shankland, Gassama. Only a handful of players, mate, in this squad. If you take last night, no Aberdeen. Connor Barron probably knows the best because he's played for them. He knows what it's like. He's been up there as an Aberdeen player and a Rangers player. But you expecting to see him in the squad on Sunday, the starting 11? Because I'm not. But it's going to be a test of character of these players. They say, we know it's a big club with a big support and there's big expectations. Well, I said it before we played Jagiellonia in the second leg, the pressure was on. Well, the pressure's truly on now. The spotlight is on those players and McInnes.
Billy?
Ox, I would see the ones back to what I said, mate. You know, again, it's a hard place to go up to Aberdeen, and you know that they're always up for it. You know, the Rangers, it speaks for itself. But with the players that's come in the summer, mate, you know, could they be any worse than what we've been actually watching? So the starting 11 for me on Sunday. I mean, I've got a team off the top of my head, mate. Well, no, I've actually wrote it down. I would take 10 of the new signings playing on Sunday, and I wouldn't care. And I would just fire them into a 4-3-3 and say, right, this is what you signed for. It's Glasgow Rangers you're playing with. This is what it's all about. And I would put them in. I really would, mate.
So you'd have Pandor in goals, Penrice at left back.
Yep.
the Costa, the right back at right back. You'd
Who's
have
it? Who's that?
and-
Godfrey.
God-
Yep.
Godfrey and Kamara as your centre halves. Is that what you're saying? Kamara.
What?
Uh,
Kahana. Yep.
aye, yeah. Right. I mean, by the way, I don't think you'll be alone in that thinking. And then your midfield would be. I'm struggling, mate. Would you play the Invisible Man, Mr. Neil?
I would, Ox. I would play him. I would play a 4-3-3, mate. Right. I'd play that back four, right? And I would play Dragavid. How do you pronounce his name? Draga. Right. That'll do. Dragavid. I'd take him in the right. I would take Neil in the left. And you know what? I'd put Asgard right in the middle of the park.
I can't see that working.
That's
mate.
where I would play him, mate. He plays here for Norway. If you look him at him, he's a centre midfielder or an attacking midfielder.
I've watched these last two games for Norway, and he's not played the centre of midfield, mate.
Well, that's his position. So I would play him there, right? And my front three would be Yakota, Misu Kim or Misu Kim.
Kim will do.
No Misu Kim. Misu Kim, and I'd play Shankland. That'd be my team, mate. I'd play, and that'd be 10 new signings out of starting 11 instead of 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. Play the players that we've signed and get them in, and let's see what they've got, what they can offer us.
I'll tell you another thing, mate. If you think that's going to work with two players, the middle of three that can't run, mate, I thought you were better than that, Billy. Because Shankland and Asgard cannot move, mate. It's embarrassing. And if you think Asgard's going to cover the ground in the middle of a three in midfield and be defensively switched on and get the ball and work that channels, mate, he doesn't move, mate. He can only play in one position, mate. And that's a false 10 in front of the midfield where you're allowed to do what you want. He's a luxury player. I mean, he came on that part last night, we're on in that position, and we were playing pedestrian, and he slowed it down. Rob?
It's a conundrum now all of a sudden with who you play. I think the back four, Billy, you're right. That's the same back four.
You'll be alone with that one, mate.
The back four, Billy, you've went with there is the one that I would go with as well. Your Costa, Godfrey, McCann and Penrice. Midfield, Dragojevic. Wow, struggling. It's amazing you've brought in these bodies and you're struggling all of a sudden. Your Cotter on the right. I'll come back to midfield. Your Cotter on the right. Kim on the left. And then you've got the problem up front because Nadiri, as much as he scored 2 goals in his 3 games, he's not the answer. Shankland's been poor, general play. And we've seen Miorski last night for the first time. But I expect him to go. So all of a sudden you're scratching your head at a striker. Who's going to play it? Do you think do you put Finlay Curtis up there? Honestly, do you put Finlay Curtis up through the middle? He's not got the physical presence, but he's got a drive, he's got a shot. Do you try him up there? He played for the B team when we had it. Is
Finlay not about 6 foot? Is he not a similar size to Shankland?
I don't know how tall he is, mate, but strength-wise, he's not the same. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to body defenders out the way. But
you'll
the pace.
You'll not move Shankland, mate, that's for sure.
Exactly. So you're looking at Shankland, general play being poor. Is he under pressure with the captaincy as well? I know Smurf, if he can come back on, had a point about that previously. Nadiri, he runs, he works hard, but he's not the answer.
He was atrocious last night, wasn't he? He was atrocious.
He was, and he's a German 3rd division player. That's where he came from. Let's not remember that. 3rd division Germany. That's where we bought him from. So, got to remember that as well. Midfield, I'll go back to it. Midfield, Dragojevic. I think Cammy Devlin comes back in. I'll say it. Cammy Devlin comes back in with Tochi.
Cammy Devlin, I forgot about him, mate.
He was suspended last night, so he'll come back in. He'll be the 6. Dragojevic and Tochi.
He can't play in that false 10, Derek. Please.
No, he's not going to 10. He's in the midfield. He's a 4-3-3. Same formation as Billy.
He can't play. I'm saying to Derek, you can't play him in that. I don't know what it was. False 10 or.
Here's another question, Ox.
Right.
Does Raskin come back into the fold?
No, I think I think Derek was just playing games there, mate. My opinion. I think the Raskin deal must be pretty close, mate. That's my own take on it. Yeah, Billy, I don't know what you think.
Aye, I think so too, mate. We've seen the last of Raskin. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, mate. I don't think he'll be back playing with the Rangers, mate. Aye, you're right. They're just playing games there. It's just a matter of getting this, whatever it is, sorted out, mate. I think it is, mate. I mean, obviously we didn't ken the ins and outs of it, mate, but I think that, we'll not see Raskin again. Out the midfield, Ox, right? who would you see if you're playing a 3 in there, Ox, right? I'll run through these midfielders for you, all right? You've got Dan Neil, you've got Connor Barn, you've got Asgard, you've got Cammy Devlin, you've got Lyle Cameron, you've got Dragovic, you've got Chukwueze, and that's it. So who would you pick out these 3 for your midfield? Sorry, who would you pick out that for a 3 in the midfield, I mean?
If you were playing it as a 4-3-3,
Yes.
right, but listen, I don't think he's set the header on fire, but I would have Cammy Devlin in front of Neil.
In the middle of the park?
Aye.
Right.
And the right, I would go with Dragovic, yeah. I think he's all right in a 3. I don't think he didn't have a great game last night, but who did? Yeah. And then you up down, and then on the left, in the 3, mate, at the moment in time, I think we've only one guy who could play there, and that's Tucci, and I thought he was appalling last night, and that gives you a bit of physical presence. And if you don't play Cammy Devlin, you've got Cammy Devlin, Connor Barron, for light, and I don't know what Daniel is yet. I don't know if he's a passer. I've not seen him do a lot, mate. With one good pass, when he done that chip in, but he's passing and most of the other games I've seen him has been pretty not great, if we're being honest. So that with the personnel, you've got Lawrence Cameron and that, mate. I don't see it happening. Yeah. But if he plays a 4-3-3, that's what I would think your best. It's no ideal, but that's about it. I think you're really limited, and that's the way I see it. Rob?
No, it's the same midfield I picked, mate, because as much as we've brought in that area, we've said it when they came in, they're all like for like. We spoke last season that the options we had, they all were similar abilities. They'd done the same role. We were in the same predicament again. We've not got that driving force from midfield, no ball carrier. We've got ball winners. We've got no ball carrier from midfield.
Hopefully get any ball winners. Go on then.
Well, Cammy Devlin likes a wee snap at heels in the ball, so I'll say he's a ball winner.
What's he done since the season started, mate?
I know we're going to judge him on his performances at Rangers, but he's a ball winner in midfield, mate. We've seen it at Hearts. We've seen it against us. He's a ball winner. So he's the 6. He's that 6
what
for
has
me
he
on Sunday.
done this season, mate? The pressures, well, he's playing in a team that's known for him, right? But he's done very little, mate, since the competitive stuff started. But I put him in.
I think he's got to be in.
Billy, Asgard, mate. Seriously, mate, I know you're trying to show where's in, but do you see him playing in the middle of midfield, covering ground and having to work and having defensive duties, mate? I just don't see it, mate.
The best of bad lot, mate. You know, for that, I've got to play that for me. I've got to play that formation. I mean, I've been screaming for the rooftops, mate. We're needing a midfielder that can play in the midfield, a middle of the park midfielder. I've been saying it for long enough, mate. You know, Havocs. You know, but
I thought Tucci was going to be that man when he came in the door, but there's a flaw there, mate. I mean, he'd done okay in a couple of games, and then, you know, the last couple of games he ain't been great. But anyway, Smurf's back with us. I hope you're better now, Smurf. How you doing, mate?
I'm almost literally out of the woods.
Have you been caught again?
Stand two, Smurf. Stand two.
Oh, sorry. Right, so what was I going to say through me there? No, listen, see with Derek, he's infatuated with this 4-4-2, and it's not just about an extra body in the box, an extra striker. extra goal threat. He's obsessed with that pressing the opposition's defence. The two fullbacks getting pressed with wingers, and each of the centre halves being occupied. And you know, you've just mentioned Asgard there. He's no pressing MD. He's a guy is a number 10. He with no lot of backlift, he can generate a lot of power, and he'll get the odd sort of memorable goal or whatever. Tucci is full of industry and endeavour. He's not playing him at number 10 to create chances. He's there for the press, and he just needs to get this out his head. Rangers domestically, and they've done it with Hearts. Maybe you could get some joy playing a 4-4-2, but we do not and will not possess, with our budget, within our financial constraints, given the league we're in, the quality of midfielder to be able to sacrifice somebody from midfield in Europe and go and get results. You can't. To me, we can't be playing with a 10 in Europe or two strikers. We need 3 in the midfield, because the quality of midfielder that we can afford and attract would dictate that we would be like midfield without 3 in it. And I just see a naivety there that, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't think we were going to see.
I agree, mate. I agree, mate. I thought we'd be a lot of things, but I didn't think we'd be disorganised. Rob?
Evening, Smurf. You're right,
Evening, mate.
I've said it before on the show, mate, and I'll say it again, that I felt we were trying to force the 4-4-2 when we've not got the right personnel to play it. I spoke about the midfield too. There's a lot of ground still to cover, and we've not got the guys that can get across the park quick enough to handle when it's overrun, and you've got to go to a free. I understand why, and I myself, I like to see 2 strikers on the park when you've got the personnel, but you don't have it. So 4-3-3 for me looks more structured. I mean, we played it against St Mirren and we looked better, but that papered over the cracks, let's be honest, with everything else that's happened before and after. But you're right, the personnel midfield, we've just spoke about it there, trying to pick a team. It's all like for like. There's no guys that are going to be that level of quality in Europe in particular that will be able to control and dictate a game. We don't have it. And as you say, finances are going to impact it. And that comes back again to recruitment. You've got to spend wisely to try and find a player on a budget that you can get to do that job. And we've not done it yet. We've not done it for a long time. John Lundstrom got a lot of stick, but he covered a lot of ground in midfield. Him and Sterling, Ox, you've touched on. Defensive mid, they're 2 guys that bossed a midfield in Europe.
And they had their moments, mate. I mean, you think back to the performances away to Dortmund, and home to Leipzig, the performance of Kamara in that semi-final, Lundstrom himself, mate. We've not got that energy in my team. We've not got that physicality. You have 2 choices to play that defensive role, if you like, the pivot and the guy that's doing the work. Devlin and Barron, mate. Or Neil. Yeah. There's no physicality there for different reasons. I mean, Connor do some amount of grunt. Devlin will put his foot in where most people wouldn't. So they're physical players, but there's no physicality, if you get my point, Billy.
Listen, now look at, what way will Aberdeen set up? They've been tinkering with their formation and all, but I see they've referred it to a 4-2-3-1. So do we either play a 4-2-3-1 to match them up, or do we play a 4-3-3 to counteract it? But we can't play a 4-3-3 to counteract it, because we've not got the 3 players, bar the 3 maybe you said, to play that 4-3-3 Ox, So it's that, honestly, we're in a conundrum, as Robert said, before the season really started. What kind of formation are we going to play with what he's got? And you wonder how he's changing things. I think he needs to either play one way and stick to it, because we can't keep chopping and changing, and we'll try this and we'll try that. Derek McInnes will need to say to himself now, right, this is what I've got in the door. You know, I think the transfer window shuts on Monday. You know, this is what I've got. This is the idea I want to play. So I'll need to stick to this format moving forward. I think that's what we've got to do. So it'll either be a 4-2-3-1 or it'll be a 4-3-3 that we can't play, or what the Mucker says there, it'll be a 4-4-2, which we've not got the players to play either. So it'll be a 4-2-3-1, and that's no work to the duration of the time all the other managers are there. So we're back to square one again. You know, you didn't need to be missing it, Meg, to work out what we've got to set up on Sunday, do you?
Well, you do, mate. I mean, I watched that last night, and I don't know we used to. For a lot of the time, it looked like a 4-2-4. Yeah, you know, and then the quarter and Gassama, weren't it? They're not going to come back out of possession. So maybe he's putting them out of possession to be a 4-5-1. But when I was watching that, mate, that's not what I seen. Rob?
You're 100% right there, Ox. It's 4-2-4, and he's doing it for the press. Out of possession, he doesn't want a team playing out for the back against him. He doesn't want that. He's trying to nullify that and put pressure on him up the pitch. And you don't need to play that extra. It does that fourth person. It doesn't need to be two strikers. It can be a midfielder. And not necessarily, it can be a doggy, a midfielder, just pressing, running, and hunting the ball down. I just don't see any sense in it whatsoever. Basically, see if you're playing like that, that tells me that you've got a level of midfielder that's samey, and you've not got anything a bit different, and of a quality that's just no where it needs to be, or a level of experience that's no where it needs to be. You know, we were talking about people that could put their foot in. Stephen Davis wasn't a guy that would be putting his foot in, but he could control a game. He was a pivot. He was a number 6, and he could, like a quarterback, he could go long, go short, speed the game up, slow the game down. You know, he was our sort of Pirlo, as it were, and we've got nobody the quality of Stephen Davis in that team now, and that's what if you think the success we played a 4-3-3. You had Kamara, Davis, and you had Ryan Jack in that midfield, right? And he was a pivot. Kamara was on his left, Jack was on his right, and out of possession, everybody knew exactly what they were going to do. They would reset, and everybody knew what they were going to do. If Barisic went up in an overlap, Kent was narrow. His two wide players were narrow. Kent would go narrow. He'd go in the overlap, and Kamara would tuck in and cover him. And the same would happen with Jack on the other side. And it was just a well-oiled machine. And we maximised, we rinsed every single bit we could out of that level of player that we had at that time. It's just, it's like we've no idea. It's like the players don't believe in him. They don't really understand what they want him to do. You know, he's frustrated. You can see it with Derek McInnes. He's frustrated. He's frustrated that he's not got the quality of the experience in the door that he wants. And if you listen to Graham Souness, you can't, you know, you need football people making decisions at the club, and no just computers. And that's a tool. It's got its place, and it's not going away. It's an aid to people for football and people to make decisions. It shouldn't be making the decisions for you. There's all kinds of wrong, and I feel so. The last thing we can be doing is chopping and changing managers, but ultimately, you know, we'd Gerrard walking away for it, and Derek's taking it, and maybe Steven Gerrard looks like a very wise man at this moment in time.
Well, Stevie G was back when the Danny Rowe and Derek McInnes thing happened quickly. You know, and listen, let's be honest, it was the unpopular Danny wanted to go, so you don't want to force somebody to stay, doesn't want to be with you. And Derek looked, for a lot of people, a good fit. I think he carries himself.
He included.
I think he's getting a lot of things wrong on the park, and that's done hindsight. You know, and there you go. You've got a classic. Once you start the boy Kim on Sunday at Pittodrie, I would say in an ideal world you don't. But we've got ourselves, no, in an ideal world, Billy.
Well, listen, Ox, if we're going to throw money about, I don't know what the figure was, much was it?
Well,
£8.5 million
Aye.
What, euros or pounds?
release clause.
Right, well,
£8.5
if
million.
If you're paying £8.5 million for a football player, a winger, surely to God, you're signing an in today's market, and especially in Scotland, if you're paying that money in a winger, he's got to be a starter for me, Ox. He's got to be for that money.
I get it, what you're looking today, but with the, I don't know, the nervous energy of transfer now, modern football, mate, it's not quite like when people used to sign on a Friday and they start on a Monday, there was no hassle. You might not even have a training session and go and play with your new teammates at our club, at Hart. Yeah, but I think the modern football, rightly or wrongly, you wouldn't throw him in, you'd have him on the bench, fitting in with his new colleagues. God, it takes them 20 minutes to make a sub now, Rob. You've got to get all that knowledge before you go in the park. Not just, hey, you son, you're going it right back.
I'd still play him, Ox. I get what you're saying, but I'd still play him. As Billy said, if you're throwing that sort of money at him to get him in the door, it's an area that we need to improve in. We're talking about pace, we're talking about energy. He's a winger, he should bring it. Whether he lasts a full game, I doubt it. But we done it with Yokota when he came in. We played him. Was it the first half he got in his first game? So we've flung players in before. We done it with Gassama last season. We done it with Antman, and they looked blistering. One's gone and one can go, in my opinion. But I'd play him, because the question is he any better than what you've brought in so far? You're only going to know once he plays. So you've got to play him. If he can handle Pittodrie, it tells you where he is as well. I know you're saying way it up, but if you put him in, you see how he handles it, how he handles the occasion, his debut, what he can bring. And then you've got Falkirk away midweek. So you've got a decision then to make. But I'd put him in from the start.
Smurf?
Nah, I wouldn't. If I could avoid it, I wouldn't be playing him for the start. It's no £8.5 million you're playing. It's a person you're playing. And ultimately, the world's changed now. He's 20-year-old, and let's face it, £8.5 million, where it's a lot of money in Scottish terms, universally it's peanuts. All it buys you is a bit of potential. That's all about. That's what you get for £8.5 million now with a winger, especially a forward player. You get a wee bit of potential, and ideally, I think you'd like to bring the boy on somewhere maybe about the 60-minute mark or whatever, and see what he's going to bring, and see what the circumstances of the game demand as well. But ideally, you wouldn't want to be starting the boy, no. No one they're in the teams in the doldrums and in the circumstances it's in at the moment. I wouldn't be doing it. But I'll tell you what I would be doing. I'd be drafting Fernandes, assuming forget that boy's name, but assuming he's fit.
Godfrey.
Fit to play. Godfrey. Assuming he's fit to play, I'll be bringing him in.
What's your rationale for taking Fernandes at the time? I know mine, mate, but what's yours?
Well, it was not so much the game yesterday. It's just over the piece. I think he's he's not really that young, but he's young in Rangers terms. I don't really see a leader. It's it's an important area of the pitch, and I just think we take him out, give him a break, give him a breather, let him clear his head, put Godfrey in, hopefully with a wee bit of experience, And beside the other boy, Macania, who's got after a flyer with Rangers, I think he's one guy that's got pass marks. Looks like a decent player. Hopefully they can get a wee partnership going. And then further in the season, maybe if it's required, Godfrey gets injured again, because that's what his history would tell you. You can bring him in. The game's too important tomorrow for passengers or for people it's got a sort of wild mistake in them. 3 points is a must tomorrow. Honestly, it really, really is. And I'd be taking him out for that reason. I'd be taking him out for his own sake.
All right. If the offer was right, would you move him?
Oh, and a heartbeat, aye, when you think twice about it.
Billy, would you?
Who are we talking about, Ox, sorry?
Fernandez?
Oh, definitely, all day long, mate. Listen, I would tell him, I tell you my back four, mate, that's the back four I'm playing.
Would you move him on? Would you take
aye, mate, aye. Have we got good money for him, mate, I'd move him on, definitely.
Right, we'll move on to the stuff that's happened after part of the day. Yeah, quite significant. We'll get young Rob's take on it. Rob?
Well, what one do you want to start with first, mate? The ticket
Whatever one
allocation
you
of the
want,
SFA. We'll go with
the two of them will roll into one, won't they?
Aye, they will. But we'll obviously get the cup game next month, and the club's announced tonight that the away allocation for them across the city will be 300. However, the SFA obviously came out this afternoon and said that the next Scottish Cup tie for both clubs will be behind closed doors at home. Now, my take on that is, I understand why you're punishing Rangers and punishing Celtic. I get that, right? But when you're punishing the team as well that's travelling through to Ibrox or the Chamber, I know they're getting £100,000 because of ticket loss. But for me, once again, the SFA are ignoring the punters. The club will take the money. Without a doubt, the clubs that are coming away from home will take that money. Some will earn more money there than they would have any ticket sales, right? But it's the general punters, again, being ignored. And I speak on that about other clubs, not Rangers, not Celtic, the other clubs. You imagine a Partick Thistle or whoever it may be that come to Ibrox. Here's 100,000. Club will take it, but the punters are missing out on a away day.
What you're saying, let me just get this right, mate, make sure I'm getting it right and don't misrepresent you. If we drew Partick Thistle Ibrox, you would still give them the 2,500, which they're entitled to. Is that right? Or is it 20%? With the Scottish Cup rules that they imposed last year, which is a whole different. Let's say it's 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
You would give them the 2,500 and let them turn up, and the rest of the stadium would be empty. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think they should have made a decision to have the cup tie next month behind closed doors, because both teams are punished at the same time.
Mate.
I get that. I understand it's a different competition, but that's another problem with Scottish football.
And a different governing body, mate. Yeah.
That's a problem with Scottish football. It's not aligned.
Yeah. So what would you do? You just play that one cup tie behind closed doors then?
Yes, because then both teams are being punished at the exact same time.
It's a far heavier punishment to the Rangers support than it is the people who caused the whole event. Yeah.
Yep, that's a counter argument. I understand that, but it happened on our home turf, so maybe they have to carry that can. It happened at Ibrox. If it happened at Parkhead, I'd be saying the same answer, Rox.
All right, I didn't pick up your first point. All right. I don't see how you can use a League Cup tie for a Scottish Cup, because if you're suspended for the Scottish Cup, you can play the League Cup, mate. That's two different competitions with two different rules, and that's how we only have to give them X amount for this Cup tie. I think we only have to actually give them 40 tickets or something by the rules of the League Cup. But what's your take on it, Billy?
Firstly, Ox, is did they fine both clubs?
Aye.
Right, so they fine both clubs, so for the whatever the case may be. So They're not only fined the clubs, they're punishing them again. Is that what the SFA's doing there? Because that's what it looks like, isn't it? Ultimately, no supporter should be on the park. They know that, no matter if it's Rangers or Celtic, Ibrox or Parkhead. But to punish other clubs is shocking as far as I'm concerned. You know, see if that's the case, Ox, right? Let's put it into perspective here. The so-called minority, right, that keep invading the park all the time. If that's the case, we only need to look back at the disgraceful scenes, and that's me putting it politely, mate, at Parkhead when Celtic won the league, or when they didn't win the league, they cheated to win the league with officials. When other fans come on the park again. So are they just going to play the remainder of the league fixtures behind closed doors for all the Celtic games? Because, I mean, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, is it no? Because that's no once they've done it, that's twice. Yeah, every other team in Scotland's getting punished for it.
Well, potentially, I think the point that Rob was making is other supporters are getting punished that haven't been
That's right.
involved in
That's what I mean, mate. That's what I mean, buddy.
Man. Smurf?
Aye, it's just what bewilders me is that usually in any organisation where you've got laws and bylaws, etc., there would be, you would, for this offence, X tariff would be applied. How would they arriving at these sort of hybrid punishments, and where are they getting it from? Are they just pulling it out the air, or it must be written down? So it must be in the laws of the game. There's a certain level of punishment for a certain level of crime. Where's it written down, or are they literally making it up? Because that's what it sounds like to me. I don't see how another team, and Rob's bang on, can get their fans in to a football match because it's something that the old firm's done.
Aye. I think that's
it's ludicrous. So, by all means, punish your clubs. Celtic fans busting through the turnstiles, etc., but it's a responsibility on your club as well to make sure that's properly, staffed and whatever, and doesn't happen. So whatever, it's ultimately, you've got to take your medicine, but I don't see how it affects a third non-affiliated to the crime, as it were, a third party club. I just don't get it. And does £100,000 compensate them? Because if it is 20%, there's no way, obviously, party are going to bring, that amount of fans, but still, they bring they've got a tidy wee support party, you know what I mean? And it's, it's a fixture in Glasgow. If, for instance, hypothetically, that was a team involved.
I'm trying to remember when Beale was a manager, what their support was that day. That was the last time.
It was sizable. It was sizable.
Aye. Just use them as an example. What happens if you drew Hearts?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So is 100 grand going to compensate them?
Well, you think if we drew Hearts in the third round of the Scottish Cup, there'd be 40,000 minimum there, yeah?
Aye.
Average, when you take your concessions, child tickets, etc., hospitality, all your revenue, I don't know how that works, but yeah, you get the away team want to pick up about 20%. It's, after expenses and all that. So you would take in, say, I don't know, 1.2 million or something. So they would get 400,000. Aye. Yeah.
Aye. So it's costing them money.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Smurf. Did Rangers not tell them that there was a potential for this before that what happened?
Aye.
Right, so let's look at this rationally then. Rangers told them there could be a massive problem. Who didn't listen? SFA. So the problem did happen, and now the SFA are punishing Rangers as well as other teams and trying to make themselves look good by saying, all right, you'll play it. Celtic we'll need to make Celtic look to be bad and all, so we'll just punish him and all, and we'll just tell them it's a behind closed door games and all, eh? You know, it's like the SFA are condemning it for outside, but and embracing it from within, because we all know who's running the game here, eh? This is just another way for them to try and take that bit of pressure off their shoulders, as far as I'm concerned. As you like to say, Ox, that doesn't pass the snuff test either, mate. No way does it, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm actually, there's part of me pleasantly surprised. I'll tell you what I'm basing that on, Rob. I thought if it was going to be the team that there would only be punishment to one team because of the state of Scottish football, mate. And I do agree with Billy's point. The SFA, who insisted that ticket allocation, have got to take a strong, hard look at themselves, because they were the catalyst for the events that day. That was the starting point, yeah. But I was actually surprised when it broke the day. I don't know why I had it in my head that we would be punished a lot more severely than the opposition, who some of the stuff was planned to get into the stadium. Everybody knew it was out there on social media what they were going to do. And people who were banned for their own stadium get tickets for that club. What the one?
No, you can't make it make sense, no matter which way you look at it. And Billy's right, and yourself's right as well there. We highlighted it. We went to the SFA, and they basically told us 20% is more than 8,000. Don't fling it back at us. It's in that report. That's the words of Mulroney, who's meant to make these decisions, and he never made a decision. It's in that report, Billy. Believe it or not. That was his words. Don't fling it back at us. Give them the 8,000, because actually you should be giving them more. Nothing about the warning signs, nothing about the fact that, as you say, Ox, they were banned from their home game, but managed to get tickets for an away game. It's ludicrous. It's embarrassing for Scottish football. It's a word he keeps saying. But again, it's the authorities not being strong enough. I'm yourself, Ox. I thought we were going to get punished more because, one, we were a home team, and the way the SFA are, let's be honest, the way they are, it's Rangers. Let's give them more money to for a fine or whatever. But you mentioned there, what if we get Hearts? What if we get Celtic? You can see it coming. Scottish Cup, Ibrox, Rangers v Celtic, no fans in. Oh, by the way, you've got to give them £100,000, by the way. And then their thing rolls into next season. When they get a home tie at Scottish Cup, you can see it getting played out. It's going to be a Rangers Celtic in it. You just know it. Supercomputer.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
They're the one that were laughing, by the way, honestly. And that statement, they came out as an absolute belter, them playing the victim, you know. Any Rangers supporters out there listening to this, away in here, look at their statement. You'll get a wee chuckle at that.
Emotions, Billy, emotions, you know.
Billy, it wasn't one pitch invasion, by the way, this season. They done 3. Done it at Kilmarnock, done it at Motherwell, done it at the Rain Stadium. 3 in 1 fine.
But that's one of the celebrations, Rob, you know. Over exuberant, I think, was the terminology they made, eh? So it's over exuberant.
The SFA with the root cause, the 2016 Cup final never acted, mate.
Correct. Way back to the Hibs. Correct.
That was a catalyst for the whole thing, mate. And then it's just expanded. It's grew and grew and grew, yeah. And then you've ended up in this mess. The people running about again, we know their motivations. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So, in another front, the ticket allocation for the League Cup tie. I've always said that I thought they killed the Old Firm game when there was no away fans in as a spectacle. I have went 180 degrees, mate. And maybe Mr. Allbears beat me up, battered me, and talked me into it. I don't know if I want any of them in our stadium now. Smurf.
Here. Do you know what? See, I thought you were going to bring me in, and that was going to be my point. It's a shame. It's a shame when you think back. You go to the game when you're away and all that, and you know the atmospheres and whatever, and the highs and the lows. But it's a spectacle, and it's something that's, you know, there's maybe no a lot to sing and dance and shout about in our game internationally, but it was one thing that, you know, we could have been proud of. It's such a fierce rivalry, and in all honesty, it's not even what's happened. It's the bias on how the game's been run here. I would rather we just not have him at all, if I'm being honest. It's just, nobody likes us, we don't care, and I think we'd do well to remember that.
I don't know how we do that with the rules of the league, but there you go. And the downside of that is we don't get fans there. So that's a big downside. And I was always against that as well, for different reasons. And generationally, older people and people of a certain generation go there and enjoy the victories and marvellous memories. And then the younger supporter aren't getting that. And I've always thought, that's not right. They should get that same right as the previous generations. But now when I look at it, I have flipped. Maybe that's just emotions.
Sorry, mate, to jump in your Ox. I remember you've used the phrase Scottish football's hating itself to death, mate.
Aye.
Do you know what, mate? You're 1,000,000% bang on the money, mate. 1,000,000% bang on the money. But let's not forget, who's really created this monster? Who's created this monster, mate? We all know who's created this monster, right? Now, back to what you're talking about there. I wouldn't let them in here. And listen, I was away back Parkhead, you know, big Kuznetsov scored, and you know, John Brown and that, and New Year's Day, Parkhead bouncing and all that. You know, it was a brilliant atmosphere. I've been at Ibrox, the 5-1 game, you know, Wilkins scores. You know, the games were brilliant. I was at the Four Eats game when Murdo McLeod scored the equaliser for Celtic, you know. You know, they were brilliant days, you know, but see now, that mob across the city cannot be trusted. Give them 300. I wouldn't give them 30. I'm telling you that right now, with the previous that they've got to now. You know, so if there's anybody who has to really have a look at themselves, right, instead of pointing the finger at other clubs, including SFA, and instead of that mob across the city pointing the finger at Rangers, you know, they should look out. Sorry, they should look in before they look out, because that club is a shit show of a club. Sorry for my swearing there, Ox, but that's what it is. It's a shit show of a football club.
So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I don't believe I've not checked, and it's a bit late to check, but it'd be interesting to see when we hear from your club, mate. And the bizarre thing is, I think we've got bigger problems at this moment, but it'll be something I look forward to hear. Last word for your good self, Smurfy boy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again.
We're not quite there yet. We'll get Rob's take on it, then we'll come back to you, Smurf. Rob?
All right.
Well, just what you're saying there, Ox, about the atmosphere. I agree that having both sets of fans in creates that atmosphere. 100% it does. But when you touch on there as well about the youngsters going to enjoy the game, see when their safety's at risk, you can't take that chance. And that's principle, that's paramount. Safety of a supporter at a football game. Now, whether that's at Ibrox or at Parkhead, if that safety isn't guaranteed, then you don't have the away support in. Now, there's Rangers fans out there who aren't causing issues, who aren't bringing any of this noise to the club or any kind of fines, who will miss out. But unfortunately, it's a minority, as Billy said, that actions have consequences. So,
by the way, talking about action as consequences, right? Before we finish, we better get the Southside Super 6 in, mate. Yeah, we better get the Southside Super 6 in. Very remiss of me very remiss of me. Mr. Fox better just get the music changed. I've got the Super 6 here. The big one's busy tonight. So let's hear the South Side Super 6.
Welcome to Southside Super 6. And get ready for your weekend's fix. He finds it hard to get them right, 'cause most of the time they are shy.
Hi, and welcome to Southside Super 6 for Saturday, the 29th of August. Your 6 full selections are Norwich, West Ham, Kilmarnock, Ayr, Hamilton, and Charlton. All 6 teams to win, and this pays out an average of 49-1.
Well, you have just heard this week's picks are run out and bet like dicks. The sane amongst you will give it a miss, 'cause for years he has just been taking the piss.
Good luck, everybody. You put your usual tenor on that. What will you get back, Rob?
Hee-haw.
What Smurf said. New
Last-
season,
I thought it
new
was
same
in mute.
results.
Thought I was in mute.
Last word, Smurf.
Right, thanks for having me, chaps. Good night, and onwards and upwards. Take it easy.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. Billy Boy.
Same again, mate. Cheers for taking my call, mate. It was good to get a few things off my chest. Listen, we look forward to the game on Sunday. We maybe no like what's going on, mate. We maybe disagree with it. We maybe get angry with it. But listen, we follow on, don't we? Win, lose or draw, mate. It's a Glasgow Rangers story. Cheers, pal. Good night, lads. We are a people.
Aye, so ain't good at the moment, mate. We're all feeling it. Robert.
Aye, thanks for having me on the night, Ox. Pleasure to do the show with you, mate. Good to hear from Smurf and Billy as well. A lot of anger and frustration, but we've got to pick ourselves up. Teams got to pick themselves up and go on Sunday away to Pittodrie. Tough game, we know it, but just get a win. Any win all day. And it might just paper with the cracks for now, but it's a start somewhere to hopefully better things on the horizon.
Aye, fill the cracks in. Fill them in again on Tuesday night, then start smoothing it out, mate. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, mate. That's it. Transfer window shuts on Thursday as well, so we'll see what movement in and out of the club does as well, and we might be in a better position and a better feeling come next week. Big ask,
Listen,
but you never know.
Aye, thanks to Smurf and Billy for joining us. Thanks to your good self, Rob, for doing the show. Fox and Old School Blue in the background doing the technicals. Rangers Radio will be back on Sunday at 11 o'clock with a pre-match show as we build up to the away game at Pittodrie. Thanks to everybody for listening. Good luck with Southside Super 6. I hope it starts for a big game just to cheer us all up. Thanks for listening. Take it away, Old School Blue.